The Voges-Proskauer test is to see which organisms metabolize glucose to acid and then further metabolize acid to non-acidic products such as AMC, acetyl methylcarbinol, also called acetoin. The Voges-Proskauer test detects the presence of AMC using Barrett's reagent, and you will note right here, E. coli has had no color change, it is still yellow, and Enterobacter aerogenes has had a color change, it is pinkish. So E. coli is negative for AMC, and Enterobacter aerogenes is positive for AMC. Moving on to the next thing. This is 2 tests in 1 in the SIM Deeps. 3 tests in 1. Aha! So you will look right here and you will see that Salmonella typhimurium is on the right. Salmonella typhimurium produced sulfur, which is the black precipitate. And it is motile. You can see that it's motile because it all turned nice and black. Enterobacter aerogenes had no color change with the this was the indole, so this was no color change with the Kovacs reagent. Let me put these here so I can read the thingamajig. Please recall that indole production tests for the enzyme tryptophanase, which can degrade the essential amino acid tryptophan to pyruvic acid for the Krebs cycle. So, Escherichia coli has a positive result because it's cherry red on top on the indole production test, which tests for tryptophanase, and Enterobacter aerogenes has a negative result. And yes. Oh, and we look at, this is also testing for motility. So you'll see that both Enterobacter aerogenes and Escherichia coli were motile because they're nice and squirmy in terms of where they went from the stab. So this tests for sulfur, tryptophanase, and motility. This is the methyl red test. The methyl red test sees which organisms produce large quantities of acid to separate strong acid producers from weak acid producers. The pH indicator is methyl red. It is red at 4.0 and yellow at 6.0. You'll see right here, E. coli is red because it's a strong acid producer. Enterobacter aerogenes is yellow because it is a weak acid producer. Next in line is the citrate. We have 2 that we tested, Escherichia coli and Enterobacter aerogenes. Citrate test determines if the organism uses citric acid as its sole carbon source. The pH indicator is bromthimal blue. It changes from green to blue if the pH becomes alkaline. So Escherichia coli had a negative result because it's green, and Enterobacter aerogenes had a positive result because it is blue. So Escherichia coli does not use citric acid as its sole carbon source, and Enterobacter aerogenes does. The next one is the TSI test, or the triple sugar iron test. It is designed to differentiate between various enteric gram-negative bacilli. It is based on the differences in fermentation or non-fermentation of 3 sugars, lactose, sucrose, and glucose, and the production or non-production of hydrogen sulfide gas from sodium thiosulfate and ferrous sulfate. The pH indicator phenol red indicates the presence of acid. It's yellow at 6.8, or ammonia. It is fuchsia pink at 7.4. Acid results due to the fermentation of the sugar. Ammonia results if the proteins are metabolized instead. Facultative anaerobes ferment sugars first before metabolizing peptones. And this is, once again, the triple sugar iron agar. So, this is crazy weird. Let's just go one at a time. This is Salmonella typhimurium. It is red on top, indicating that glucose was not fermented, and it is black precipitate, indicating that hydrogen sulfide was produced. It is yellow on the bottom, and there is a gas bubble, indicating that it produces gas and that glucose was fermented. I was incorrect at the beginning of my sentence. Glucose was fermented, lactose and sucrose were not fermented by Salmonella typhimurium. So this is the multicolored tube with red, black, yellow, and gas. Next in line is Escherichia coli. It is yellow on top of yellow with gas. Yes. It fermented all of the sugars because it made acid. Escherichia coli, acid over acid. And Pseudomonas aeruginosa is pink over pink with no gas. There can be no gas if there is no acid. So this is alkaline-alkaline, therefore there couldn't conceivably be gas. And pink over pink means it did not ferment any of the sugars. There's also no hydrogen sulfide production. The end.